time will tell. I think it'll happen. There's people out there with talent and ability. As we know, skills and abilities are brilliant. Social media skills and abilities are massively important, and you need to manage the two.
I think if you'd have had that in your day, because me and him used to live together, so when he was, true story, I was living with him and sharing with Ricky Hatton at one point.
Oh, so you was...
Great team for final round. We've got two tricky characters in the ring. Him first, him second. What did he mean to you when he boxed?
Do you know what? From my angle of coming in the sport, I thought Junior was one of the most hardest done by fighters about, really. I thought the talent and with the world titles, and obviously God rest his soul, but the fight of Ricky never happening. It almost seemed like, because Ricky was the star, but it almost seemed like a fight that I think British fight fans were robbed, and I can only imagine that if anyone in the world thinks of that. And that was probably the more view, because obviously I started liking pro boxing really when I was getting about age 14, 15. Before that, I was just an amateur head. So a lot of the things I was playing catch up on. But yeah, if you ask me about Junior Witter, exceptionally skilled, very, very elusive, hard to hit, knew how to score rounds, knew how to do enough to win the round, and you could only give him the round, but not doing too much in every round. So he always had it down the legs of the fight. Yeah, and I think, if he had the fights that he'd wanted, and stylistically, Ricky was probably a fighter that you'd have wanted to fight, coming forward, trying to throw heavy shots. Because every time you throw a heavy shot, you have to give a tell to get the heavy shot. So yeah, I don't know. World champion, though, it's not doing too bad. Are we, Junior? We're not doing too bad.
Commonwealth, European, two-time British champion.
Yeah, I did it all in the ring. This man's still managing to.
He's still in the business? Yeah.
No, he's still ruling shit. Yeah. He's got boxers everywhere, promotes, manages, and does a lot. And it's like, respect you. And as a fighter, skillful, technical, got ability, had ability, and just like when I'm performing, it's like he knew what his attributes were, where his advantages were, and he took advantage when he did. And before that, he got in the ring, opened his mouth and said whatever he wanted to say, and got people interested.
I still went at press conference with Bam. He told the truth. He said what a lot of people think.
There's a lot of truth. There's a lot of truth, though. Who knows? Yeah. With me, it's never really personal. You say something I don't like, I say something back I don't like, and I never went through it trying to get in people's heads. That was never the thing. I'm a very reactive person, and
you're just trying to win the conversation.
Yeah,
the argument, no matter what.
Like it'll be me and my missus sat there on the sofa watching I'm a Celebrity, and I'm trying to get the last saying on that. You know what I mean? So it's
Are you married yet?
No, I'm not married.
Listen,
never been engaged either.
I in the first 2 years of marriage, I lost all my hair.
Yeah. Well, I'm losing it. Happy wife, happy life, innit? That's what we're taught in this country anyway.
But listen, it's great to speak to you. He's going to be doing a lot more of this, because I tell him we should be getting out and reminding people of who he is.
100%. And obviously Junior's got his gym. Is it in Sheffield, your gym? Or just outside? In Rotherham. He's got his gym in Rotherham. Obviously I would have just said Sheffield, but good to see him picking up and bringing some fighters through, because when you have the knowledge of experience, unless you have another part of the world that you like spending all your time in more, you give back and you develop and you generate a talent. And with the right fighter, I think we'll see Junior in some big fights as a coach instead of a fighter this time.
You've got a couple to watch, haven't you?
I've got a few coming through, but things happen. And I think time will tell. I think it'll happen. There's people out there with talent and ability. As we know, skills and abilities are brilliant. Social media skills and abilities are massively important, and you need to manage the two.
I think if you'd have had that in your day, because me and him used to live together, so when he was, true story, I was living with him and sharing with Ricky Hatton at one point.
So you was...
He's the reason the fight didn't happen. He's the snake in the camp.
He's the reason the fight didn't happen, isn't he? That's what I'm getting from it.
How many times I've heard that? But he was so misunderstood as a person. He was just a quiet person. When I lived with him, we never spoke.
Yeah.
Speaks more.
And so, do you know what it is? everyone's got their personality. Everyone's got the way that they respond and react to things. And, you know, some people will take the quiet man as the arrogant man for not wanting to speak to no
Yeah.
one. Other people will take the person that wants to have a conversation with everyone, you know, as overbearing and trying to make, you know, everything about them. So, you know what I mean? If people like you already, then they're going to see it in a positive way. If they're trying to dislike you, they'll see it in
The negative way.
in a negative way. And I think I was the same. I think most people heard the bottom of the barrel stuff from me first. Like if I was really, you know, sort of attacking someone, or if I was really running my mouth off, and they sort of pinned me down to just this small loudmouth kid that talks a lot and doesn't punch very hard. And then I think over the years, people have maybe started seeing my personality in a few other avenues, I guess, yeah, in a few other avenues. So they've seen me commentate, they've seen me managing a fight or supporting a fighter, etc. And they've probably got a maybe slightly different impression over the time. But it's very easy to take, especially when there's not much out there of you. You take one little snippet and, well, that's the person. But a lot of the times fighters are very, very different from who they are outside of the sport, because they have to be. We can't walk around our friends and the local community and with our kids the way we walk around the gym or in the
fight week press conference. Yeah, arrogant, loud. Arrogant, no, it's confident.
You're seeing
I'm confident.
But if you're not confident, what are you? Do you know what I mean?
You beat. So I'm confident in building.
You're seeing them in the worst environment as well.
Oh, you're seeing
They don't
it.
even want to be there talking.
Yeah, you're seeing them at time. Like the press conference is typically on the Thursday, and the weigh-ins on Friday morning. So you want all of these fighters to come up here and speak and sell the show, but you're giving them, okay, it's about 24 hours from today, but sometimes the press conference is in the evening, and then you're giving them about 12 hours from having to sell the fight and then make weight.
Wait,
That was
that's
your
horrible.
last fight. Do you remember your last fight when we interviewed you?
Yeah, it was a year ago here.
Are you had your pillar? Do you remember?
Yeah, because we was meant to go at 1 o'clock, and then because they were doing a Derek Chisora or something, they moved our fight week press conference back in the last minute to 7 o'clock at night, and I was all right for the most part because I wasn't really struggling for weight, but there'll be some fighters sat at that table absolutely ripped.
Miserable.
Yeah, because at 7 o'clock the night before the weigh-in is when the weight cut is.
Did I tell you
Typically, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're
That
horrible
time,
that time.
that's when we're
I
doing
tell
it.
you was angry at Troy.
Yeah,
Jones.
and I can imagine it's probably why I made the point of the way I did, and because, you know, they should have been at 7 o'clock, not us.
Yeah.
I don't care if people have got to go up and down the motorway and they was there already, and because it's the fighters that are fighting right now should be the
Yeah.
priority. It should be fighter first, and because at the end of the day, as Junior knows, look, so many people come to this circus every time it's in any town. And there's, you know, the people that are putting up the ring, there's the people that are doing the security, there's people doing the media. But the fighters are getting in and not being promised the way out. They're not there, oh yeah, I've just come in, did what I had to do and get off. Like, can end in the worst way, and has for fighters that end in the worst way possible. So everything should always be prioritized as fighter first and what's best for the fighter, not what's best for the show, not what's best for the, you know, people traveling or not. But it should be for the fighter.
No, people who are working around the show or doing a job. I granted it's important, but it's the boxers are putting their lives on the line, and that's what's to be priority.
Yeah,
Well, listen,
100%.
I'm going to talk to you about something we're doing actually. I'm heavily involved in it. So Peter Fury, Boxing Need, have you heard about it?
Yes, I've got given a badge.
Yeah, so Boxing Need, I'll tell you a true story. Callum Simpson messages me 5-6 weeks ago. You remember Crawford Ashley? British Commonwealth, European, 2-time world title challenger, homeless, lost everything, gone out there, right? Callum rings me, what can we do? Boxing Need stepped in, got him accommodation, he's waiting for a flat. Now we're paying for him to get his seconds license. They've helped Nick Blackwell. So what we're doing now, there's a lot of people getting involved because it's going to be open as a charity, because we want the fighters and guys like you are important not to get to the stage where they're out boxing, they've lost everything, fighting's over, and now you're dealing with different problems. Financial advice while they're fighting. Boxing Need help Liam Cameron. It was Kimmy who helped Liam Cameron do all that, right? Step in and saying, let me read your contract, this is what you should do, so that they have something for after boxing. But we are putting things in place for people that have got to the other side as well. What do you feel about that, the aftercare of fighters?
Yeah, it's hard though, because there's so many fighters, there's so many lives, and probably outside of the top 2, maybe 5% of any British fighter. Bear in mind, we have a higher percent of people that can actually make a proper living out of boxing than most other countries, because we actually have the promoters here putting on the constant shows, need the tickets sold. But you know, there's very few fighters that make it out, and then just with their efforts in boxing, they're sort of all done for. Like, and any sort of bringing fighters back into the sport or helping them maintain a position in the sport as their. And the best thing I think I did was, as I could feel that my body and everything was maybe coming to an end, even though I was still undefeated at the time, #1 in the world.
Yeah.
I hedged my bets on getting some commentary work, and I started managing some fighters. Now, I had a workload that maybe I didn't need whilst I was competing, but it meant that the day that I decided, I don't want to box no more, I walked straight into a contract with Matchroom. I already had 6, 7, 8 fighters already bubbling up. Since then, I've signed some of the best talent coming through: Leo Tangs, Giorgio Viciolis, Bobby Floods. I'm working with great fighters like Ishmael Davies that are putting themselves out and taking opportunities, and another handful and some more. But I edged my bets early and put myself in a position. Now, not everyone wants to or does do that, and they get to a point where someone that spent their whole life in a gym and in a boxing ring, it doesn't really qualify you too much to do too much anywhere else. It doesn't. Now, we know about fighting, but if the conversation's about something slightly left of fighting, then we're unqualified.
We don't know.
Because
As people who, gym rats, as we like to call these themselves, know about boxing. And they don't know much about football, they don't know much about basketball, they don't know much about other sports, never mind the rest of the normal business world. So it is hard, but we've got to help when we can. So for me, if we can help a few, it works. It's helping.
No, 100%. And, you know, every time someone's life is greatly benefited from what you guys are doing, it's really, it's the God's work in the industry that we're in. Like, you know, you see other parts of the world, you know, there'll be these, you know, we're talking about the budgets, the tax budgets, etc. Like, where's all that money going? Because they're sending billions over to fight a war that's you know, shouldn't have any concern of us, but it does, because of treaties done over 100 years ago, and now we've got to pay our taxes while our roads have still got holes in them, and there's homeless veterans on our streets. So the fact that and forget all of them, when a boxer is going to be like, oh, here's, you know, you did all that service, here's a bit of government money or a house for you to live at, we're never going to get that. If the soldiers who are fighting for the country aren't going to get it, the fighters that are fighting for a boxing gym definitely aren't.
No, definitely not.
And, you know, then it becomes back to us, and it's our responsibility to try and bridge that gap and maintain some level of support. My biggest advice to anyone that knows boxing to a certain degree, to have, you know, walk the walk of what we do to get here, stay in boxing. Don't hide from it, whether you lost or, you know, you got retired on a knockout loss, or like a lot of people, they start seeing it as a shame. You can never be ashamed of anything that happens in a boxing ring, because you're getting in there against the other best fighters in the world, otherwise you wouldn't be in there.
That's right.
And you can then use your time and effort and your network and leverage that to keep using boxing as a mean to support yourself.
Transferable skills, isn't it?
Like, I won't ever look to go anywhere else. Why? Because there's nothing I could start today that I'd be good enough at and have as much knowledge to bridge the gap of a 21-year boxing career that I've just had. There is nothing else, and because of my success in a boxing ring, it made it easier for me to do the media work, made it easier for me to be a manager. Now, not everyone's got to be that. There could be an old retired fighter that his conditioning was spot on. We'll start doubling down on getting conditioning on fighters, start working alongside the gym, but at the same time, oftentimes in boxing, like I said, not only the 5% of the 95 really sort of make anything from it. A lot of people will just be doing it because they love it, and there won't be too much rewards.
That's why what boxers need going to do. We've got, I don't want to say too much on camera because we're waiting for the champion to come through. There's a lot of top people already said they're going to get involved. Is making sure that every loophole is filled. So, for instance, while they're boxing, people reading contracts, doctors' advice, psychiatrists are going to step in for people suffering from mental health. Basically, giving them something to do, understand things about them, so they've had a trade when they come out, so they can not get to the end of the career and go, what do I do now? Have an idea. give them some focus throughout. Understand what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say? Because once they get to the end of the career and they've got a problem, it's not that the boxers need, not going to step in and deal with the problem. But helping someone one time, if they have a habit or a problem, they're going to keep going back around in circles. Look at Ricky Hatton. We were close to Ricky, right? I used to train with Ricky. We'd be around Ricky. I talked to Ricky 4 days before he passed, and he didn't know this all of it.
Yeah.
He didn't feel it.
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, look, Ricky loved a drink, but usually, typically, people that love a drink are trying to forget something. Really,
Yeah.
they're trying
Yeah.
to, and that probably should have been one of the biggest telltale signs. But because he was doing it for so long and dealing with old demons for so long, and it is hard. I know, I didn't have not 1% of the fame, the fortune, the people around like that. What Ricky had, not 1% of it.
Yeah.
And I know that any sort of success, any sort of getting to a good position, then everyone you've ever met comes for the loan. There's stories that I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't know all the ins and outs, but people coming after money or changing the way they're being with you. And over time, it just genuinely
Mess your head up.
it messes your head, and it makes it hard for you to see things for how they are. Do you know what I mean? And any sort of support, but at the same time, it's just people doing people things. Whether it's Boxing in Need, whether it's the board of control, whether it's a promoter, whether it's a union that gets formed to keep all the boxers together, past, previous, future, and present. It's still just people, so you need the good hearts of people to be around, and that's what I think this generation of humans are really missing. I think we all step outside the world, really, and we see everyone as a threat or as competition or as someone that, when really we're all just lost trying to find our way and find our purpose and understand what this is. Like, at the end of the day, at one point on this earth, there was just green and trees and animals, and we was part of that animal system. Eventually we started building buildings and electric and taxes, and it all started getting a bit more complicated, and really our brains probably weren't evolved. They probably now only getting to the point of evolve. But why do you think everyone's miserable, really? Everyone is. You don't just look across the street and bounce around and see happy smiling faces. That's a rare occasion. Everyone walks around like they've had the worst day ever, and probably because the pressure of to exist in this matrix of life, it is hard. No one's. You could be earning 100 mil, you're still losing that 40 mil on the tax, and this is happening, and then the VAT from last year comes out, and now you're having to fight again. It's hard, man. It's hard for us all. It keeps you trapped up in it. It keeps you wrapped up in it.
Did you see O'Hara Davis on his story mode the other day talk about the taxes? It was a
Nah.
It was so funny. He went through every single tax and then he goes, "That's why I'm fucking going to Dubai."
Yeah, and it makes sense, but it's almost like in these parts of the world that there's been a plan to be executed to make people that are doing even half well in this country not want to be here no more, because the moment you're hearing, well, you don't pay no tax in that country or much less tax in that country, well, why am I not going to be based over there? Why am I going to be just working all of this and then by the end of it struggling again, having to make sure I'm going back and earn again, and then by the time you've earned that, you're getting taxed on that again, so you've got to do it again. You just get caught up in a hamster wheel until you're ready to, do you know what, I don't want anything. I don't want nothing no more. Until you that's probably the happiest you can be. What did they say? The Great Reset, you'll own nothing and be happier.
Yeah.
I can actually hear it.
Oh, I
can hear
I
it.
always find it weird because when I go to my wife's country, Bali, they have nothing but they're happier.
Yeah.
As long as they've got food and a bit of sunshine. And
The weather's probably a big help on that, though,
It is.
because it is miserable over here, isn't it?
Listen,
Yeah.
I could talk to you all day, by the way, but we know we've got to
Seriously.
stop talking.
Right, come on.
Listen, guys, if you like the vibe, don't forget to subscribe.